So
I got you. I got you. Just trying to get this stream set up and we'll be good to
it
go.
says we're streaming on YouTube live.
Yep. Because
Yeah, I
Facebook's
got you.
being really weird. So I had to switch it over to YouTube. But that's all right. YouTube's good. I'll share it around and we'll be good to go. So, but yeah, so basically what I'll do is I'll do an intro, I'll introduce you, we'll jump into kind of a little bit of everything. Begrass, your couch
Couch
marathon.
Tour Challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even my music a little bit,
Okay.
and
Awesome.
you and I whatever you want to talk about, man. I would like to pitch the Couch Tour Challenge a little bit and Baygrass, being it.
Yep.
But
I gotcha. We will get to it all. It but yeah, I was talking to Jeff the other day, and unfortunately I just don't think we're gonna be able to make Baygrass work if it's gonna be scaled back, you know. My job's kind of being weird about out of state travel as it is.
I wouldn't
So
worry about it, man. But make sure that you're there in 2022 because that's the 10th anniversary, and
yep.
I'm gonna try to make it awesome if we can.
Oh, we're planning on it. Trust me. We're really butthurt about not going this year, but it's just one of those things where it's like it just doesn't make sense
No,
financially and whatnot.
and you can't plan, man. Like I have other events, like it could get canceled. That's one reason I want to book kind of local. That way, like, if I booked you and you were coming to the show and I had to cancel 2 weeks out, like you're out a lot of money for travel and I'm out money for anybody.
Yep, I gotcha. That's very that's very very true. All right, come on. There it is. Awesome. All right. So I just yep, that should be good. Cool. So if you are ready, I'll do the intro and we'll just kind of jump into it. This
Sweet.
will be a lot more casual than so yeah, it'll be exciting. Just make sure my work stuff isn't gonna start buzzing at me. That'd be annoying. All right, cool. Welcome everybody to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today we have a very special guest. We have an old friend of the podcast. We have Robbie McClung. How's it going today, Robbie?
It's going great, Tom. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. I've never actually had to pronounce your last name, and then as I'm saying it, I'm like, "Oh, I hope I get this right. I've known this guy forever, and I hope I don't butcher it." But thank you so much for jumping on here and having a quick chat. Like I mentioned in the intro, we go back a little bit, so it's always exciting to have friends on.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, catching up on old times, especially in these times when we don't get to see our friends very often.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So how are things going? I know you're working on a lot of stuff. You're always busy. I see you on Facebook posting about a whole bunch of different things all the time. So how are things going right now?
Things are going, really good. Yeah, I'm very busy. I got three little kids and a bunch of events, or had a bunch of events, and still trying to play some music on my own. And yeah, just trying to make a go at it, man. And
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it one day when it slows down a little bit.
yeah, I got you. I got you. So we'll kind of jump into everything piece by piece here. So I met you back in January of 2016 for was it the fifth annual Begrass Festival? I think
Yeah, that
2016.
would have been the fifth annual Begrass Festival.
So we got introduced there through my parents. They had been to the 2015 event and told me about you as I was kind of in that first year of Live and Amplified. So obviously, this year, everything going on will make for an interesting 2021. But what's currently going on with Begrass Bluegrass Festival?
Well, being old friends, you're the first person, and this is the first time this has publicly ever been told. We are going to still have the event, but it can't be a festival the way it was. After talking it over a lot with the ice team, Dave Fader, and everybody else on our team, we want to keep the spirit alive. So we are still going to have an event that encompasses 3 days, but it is not going to be what it. Last year we had 15 bands. The year before we had 15 bands. We're probably going to have 5 bands over 3 days,
Okay.
keeping it smaller venues. Um, and I don't like to be a downer, but there is always the chance it could get canceled.
Yeah.
So we want to, this is the 9th year, and 2022 will be the 10th anniversary. So I just want to keep the spirit alive of the event. So we're going to have, I'm going to put together a good lineup of Florida bluegrass and newgrass kind of Americana acts. And we're going to make a go at it. So
Nice.
it'll be, we definitely can't have a square dance this year.
Yeah.
Jamming is kind of weird, and set changes with a lot of bands is kind of weird. So it'll be more of, some smaller intimate shows with some bands, but I do want to still bring bluegrass music to the Florida Keys. So
Nice. Nice.
that's where we're at with that.
I gotcha. And I mean, it'll be interesting because, like you said, you don't ever know what's going to happen. Like this whole thing could spike again, and then you gotta cancel everything, or like you just don't know at this point. So,
Yeah.
the fact that you're kind of keeping the 9th year, like, and trying to keep the event together, and actually having a 9th year, so that the 10th year actually is the 10th year, and there's not like that weird gap year, I guess.
Yeah.
That's really cool, and I really appreciate that. So for the people that don't know, what is the Begrass Bluegrass Festival?
So, yeah, I mean, I guess 9 years ago, there's a not-for-profit that I work with in the Florida Keys, or for Almirada Community Entertainment. They raise money for arts and music scholarships for kids. About 9 years ago, well, probably 10, because there was a year of planning. They wanted to kind of expand their music like repertoire as far as events that they do, and asked me if I wanted to do a bluegrass festival. So the Begrass Bluegrass Festival is every year. It's on Martin Luther King weekend, and it is a mixture of traditional bluegrass, Americana, newgrass. Definitely on the fringier side. It is not your grandpa's bluegrass festival. It is, and it's a fun festival. It's in the Florida Keys in January. I
Yeah.
mean, there's not much else you can say about it. We're the
Yeah.
only bluegrass festival on a tropical island in January
Yeah.
that's drivable. I know that there's some like newgrass kind of bluegrass festivals in Mexico that you can fly to, but there's really not an event. I mean, you've been there. It's a pretty cool.
Yeah.
We developed a cool thing, and I think it has its own vibe, and
Yeah.
it's nice, and I like it. And because I bring, bluegrass, traditional bluegrass is the backbone of the festival, but we have, you've seen the acts. We got some really progressive acts, but everybody kind of comes together and shares that love of acoustic and roots music. So
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the festival's actually had some really big names that are really starting to make some mainstream waves. Like I remember, I think it was our second year, you had Billy Strings there.
I
That's really,
did.
yeah.
I've had
Um,
Billy Strings. I had Mandolin Orange was
yep.
there a long time ago. The
I
Way Down
think
Longer,
they were in like the first couple of years, because I
the
remember going
second
back
year.
a second year.
Yeah, and that was before the big album came out. You, and I got kind of busy, but the year Billy played, Hurricane Irma hit, so that was a weird year in
Hmm.
itself, because the Keys were destroyed from a hurricane, so we were just lucky that we could even have it that year. But I put a lot of thought. I really tried you know, to steal from a movie like the Moneyball game. There are so many talented bands out there that are just on the cusp. And
Hmm.
as a promoter, it's really fun to search out those bands,
Yeah.
and like I had been, you know, I should have booked Billy the year before I booked him, because then I could have booked him for 2 years. But I mean, now he's huge. So
Yeah,
I doubt that we'll ever. I would love to be to a point to book him again, but
yeah,
he's definitely grown out of our little festival's price range. Same thing with Mandolin Orange, and even the Way Down Wanderers. A lot of bands, which is cool.
hmm
You know, you book bands and you watch them grow, and I think it's kind of cool to be like, yeah, they played our festival. So I, as a promoter, searching out those bands and trying to find them right before, not necessarily, I don't try to find them right before, but you know, some bands just have it and you're like, they're going
hmm
to go somewhere.
yeah, absolutely. I remember like being at the festival that Billy played and being backstage and just kind of like, I should probably go do a podcast with him because the way everybody's kind of talking about him,
Yeah.
I should probably do a podcast with him. And then at that point, he was getting ready to go on stage. And then like last year, or earlier this year, at the beginning of the pandemic, I tried to reach out to do another podcast, or not another, try and do a podcast with them. And it's like, yeah, our schedule is just too packed. We can't do it right now. And I'm like, okay, that sucks, but my loss, it is
Yeah.
what it is. But
Well, hopefully at the 10th annual Begrass, we will have a bunch of, you know, a bunch of acts that you can get, you'll be like, man, I got them. And hopefully it continues to grow from there.
yeah,
You know, it's fun watching I mean, you're part of the Begrass family, so it's fun watching the family grow, you
yeah,
know, and see all the different music. So
yeah, absolutely. And like we talked before this, unfortunately, we won't be able to go this year because of just all the risk and like, well, uncertainty. I guess not really a risk, but the uncertainty of everything, and just like the fact that you have to scale back. It's like, we had to make a decision, so we'll be ready to go for year 10 and just kind of figure out a way to make it a lot better, or make our impact more helpful, so to speak.
yeah.
And of course, like always, we're always down to help promote like whatever you got going on. Just let us know.
Yeah,
um
it's gonna be exciting. I mean, I'm not, you know, there is risk this year, and I'm booking Florida bands. I'm going forward with planning, but I can't. Nobody who's doing an event can say with 100% confidence their
mhm,
event's going to happen. It's just, you can't do it right now. So that's why this will be the first year that I'm not booking bands outside of the state of Florida, and it's not
yeah,
because I don't want to. I love bands coming from all over, but
yeah,
I don't, not to pull the rug out of a local, from under a local band, but it's easier if you're in Fort Lauderdale and it's a 2 hour drive and I'm like, hey man, 2 weeks out, I'm like, sorry. But like,
yeah,
you know, for you, if you're like, I made plans to drive from Texas to the
yep,
Keys, or I bought plane tickets, I have car rentals. I mean, that those things get expensive.
yeah,
So
yeah. And I mean, I completely get it. Like just the uncertainty of everything, and until there's like a vaccine or whatever, just it's hard to make concrete plans. But so you've been working with Isla Morada Community Entertainment organization for about 10 years, right?
yeah.
Uh, so how did you kind of get involved with them? Did they reach out to you about when they were ready to start diversifying their festival, or had you been
Uh,
working with them
well,
before?
I was kind of the brains behind the
Oh,
festival. They wanted to do something. Um, Almirada is a small town, you
mhm,
know, and really through my music is how I found them, like through open mics and playing out. Like I was playing out, and I, you know, met Dave Fader, the director, who's a phenomenal musician, and you know, I met him at some jams, and you know, he knew I liked blues. Hey, you want to put on Bluegrass Festival? And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, come up with a good idea. We can do it. And I was like, wow, okay. You know, so
yeah,
that's how, through my music is how I became and not like my music, like I have a bunch of original music, but from me playing music is
yeah,
how I came into the groove with them.
yeah. And the keys, from what I've heard, like just being at four different, or three, yeah, four different Baker. It's been so many, I don't even remember. Four different Begrass festivals.
Yeah.
Um, I've gotten a chance to talk to a lot of the local musicians that are from the Keys, and some of them that still live in the Keys, like how rich that music scene is, and like some of the stories that they told me about the people that have played in the Plantation Harbor, like the sound stage that they have,
Yeah.
some of the people that have played there, and it's like, wow, that is crazy. Like I think somebody was telling me that Ziggy Marley at one point was playing there every once in a while, and
Or yeah, we had a festival called Bejama,
okay,
which was in or so there's Begrass, Bay Jam, and there was
yeah,
Bejama for a
okay,
while. So we had a reggae, like classic rock, just local keys, and then a bluegrass festival. But yeah, I mean the Marleys have played there, and that was a cool event. Yeah, those were some good years with that. It just sort of the reggae festival kind of tapered off, but
yeah.
so
I think a reggae festival in the Keys is a little bit too on the nose. Like it just seems too
especially
like
for Almirada, it's not quite Almirada's. I mean, it was great. It was very well received, but
yeah,
yeah, and the weather that time of year in November was really tough. So
yeah,
Bejama, it was a fun event, but there's a lot of reggae festivals in South Florida, so that was a harder sell. There's not a bluegrass
yeah,
there's not a bluegrass festival.
yeah. I got you.
So that in South Florida, like Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and those areas, there's just a rich kind of island music scene. So that it's not as much of excitement to have a reggae festival. So I think that's just my opinion on why it didn't work. But and also we would just get bad weather. It would rain that second week in November. It's like, and Begrass has had some bad weather.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
You filmed people in like hurricane force winds.
Yep, yep. I was just gonna say, I was like, if January is the way it is consistently, I can only imagine what November's like. And like, I
Yeah,
mean, I've been down to the Keys in November because my parents are like permanent winter birds down there now.
yeah.
Like like that's their thing. But just January, it is so hit or miss, like whether it's the weather's gonna be beautiful and amazing, or if it's gonna be, oh, this is gonna be wet and rainy, and yeah. So
Or it's like beautiful for the first day and raining I mean, we've had some nasty weather. Most of the gray in my beard, it's either from my kids or from that festival, it's
yeah,
been,
yeah,
I'll never forget you and Tom. There's a famous flat picker who was down there who played with his band, the Grant Farm, Tyler Grant, and your
yeah,
guys, Jeff was like, I just filmed flat picking on the beach in 35-mile-an-hour winds.
yeah.
And
Oh,
it was
oh
like,
yeah, because that was the year that you guys, that was not this year's, that was last year's, where you did it on
yeah,
the beach, and we were just like, okay, we're gonna go side stage, and in between sets, we're gonna
yeah,
make this work.
just
And yep,
it's like blowing sideways and you're filming acoustic guitar on the beach,
and
which is pretty
actually,
cool.
yeah, I mean, if you go and look at the videos, you could see the trees in the background just like leaning 30 degrees one direction, and
Yeah,
you can't hardly hear the wind because we just kind of found that sweet spot. And so
yeah, that was
uh,
cool.
yeah. And so I last year it was back on the main stage, right? You're not is there
Yeah,
plans to,
that stage was destroyed in Hurricane Irma, or not destroyed, but the top was ripped off.
yeah,
But so we were back there. I mean, the beach was amazing, but it definitely that amphitheater was built to be used, so it's
yeah,
kind of pointless to have like one of the biggest festivals in a park not at the amphitheater that was built to have people play at. So
yeah, yeah. And the amphitheater is just really cool. Like just to have that
yeah,
kind of in the middle of the Keys, it's like, all right, awesome. I dig it. I
yeah.
remember like the first time I saw it, my dad was sending me photos before I went down. He was like, yeah, this is what it looks like. I'm like, wait, that's just sitting in the middle of the Keys? Like,
Yeah.
so that's really cool. And then like you had mentioned before, you also work with a bunch of different festivals. You also did a lot of work with Bay Jam, which I've had the opportunity to come down and do some
Yeah.
stuff with, and that's more locally based. Like you feature more.
Yeah, that's all keys based. Bay Jam, I think, gosh, in it's 22 or 12. We're actually about to do a virtual Bay Jam. So we filmed all the musicians and we're about to launch that in the middle of November,
Mhm.
which is really cool. But Bay Jam was canceled due to the pandemic. But yeah, it started off as a local fundraiser to raise money for the arts in the schools. So it's
Mhm.
pretty much, we've had some fun headliners there as well, but it's also primarily local musicians.
Gotcha.
And all that is under the ICE auspices. I produce some events on my own, like more in the endurance industry, running and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, Bay Jam is under the auspices of ICE. We This season, and typically we do Begrass and Bay Jam are our big events, and we produce 5 to 7 smaller concerts.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
100 to 150 person concerts throughout the year, which this year will still probably, we're still working out the logistics just because of social distancing,
Mhm.
finding venues where we can do that. Because, yeah, it gets tough with travel and lodging and hopefully being able to have it or not. So,
Gotcha. Yeah. And so you said for Bay Jam this year, or you're getting ready to do like a virtual thing?
so Bay Jam, well, there'll actually be 2 Bay Jams in the next 6 months. We're
Okay.
going to do last year's Bay Jam. Over the past several months, we've recorded all the musicians.
Okay.
So
Because
I
I
think we have
know
like 10 or 15.
not to
Go
let
ahead.
not I was going to say not to let any cats out of the bag, but I know Leah reached out to me about some of the videos that we had done with her.
So that might be some of the footage that's in
Oh,
there. So
okay.
yeah. I don't know I know Leah's definitely in the Bay Jam
Mm,
premiere, and I'm talking about this now, so we haven't even told anybody yet.
okay.
We're supposed to be launching it this week, but the idea was, since Bay Jam didn't happen originally, we postponed it, and then it was, we postponed it till September, and then September gotten here and we still can't do it. So
Mhm.
we decided in about July, mid-July, we decided to go virtual with it. So we have virtual Bay Jam coming up on Thursday, November 12th, and that'll run for a whole month. We have about an hour and 15-minute music video that we put
Yeah.
together of
Oh, nice.
musicians. And then the real Bay Jam, not that that one's not real.
Yeah.
That's the 2020 Bay Jam will be in November. The 2021 Bay Jam will be in late March. Typically,
Mhm.
it's an end of March event, but that
Yeah.
did not work last year.
Yeah, I got you. Because I know I was talking to Jeff at one point about trying to make that work, trying to figure out a way to make that work because there's a festival that we do or that I did for a few years in Tampa that's like middle of March somewhere. And so
Yeah.
we had talked about if we couldn't, if Begrass wasn't going to be possible, about seeing if we could make that work where we hit up 2 festivals and
Yeah,
knock it.
what's the one you did in Tampa?
Gasparilla.
Yeah, that's a big one, huh?
Yeah, we were supposed to go last year. We got invited, and that was like right at the cusp of the COVID thing. And
Yeah.
the day I got my press pass, they're like, "Hey, you're approved for press passes." My boss called me and said, "Hey, so that trip you're supposed to take, you can't." And I'm like, "What do you?"
Wah, wah,
I'm
wah.
like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "This," and she's forwarded me the email, and I'm like, dang it. All right, fine. So, yeah. But
Did it happen though?
yeah, it happened. Yeah. I think it happened second or third weekend of March. Yeah, it was, they made it work. So,
Yeah, they were probably that's one of the last ones that happened.
yep.
There were a few people that got lucky, and then it's like, it's over.
Yeah.
Florida was a little late to do
Yeah.
the game, but
Yeah. I know, because that was right around the time I was trying to make South by Southwest work because we had so many bands that we've wanted to work with that were or like flying into Dallas and flying from Dallas to or not flying, driving from Dallas to Austin, and they got to come right through Waco. And it's like, hey, well, if you want to take like an hour and a half layover, and just do like a couple acoustic sets or a couple acoustic songs or something. I'll set up and we'll just kind of factory this one out. And I'd say I had like 15 or 20 bands that were going to come through over the course of a week.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, yes, that means I don't have to take a trip this year. Like, it's going to save me so much money. And then, yeah. So South by Southwest got canceled for those that don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, they're not canceled yet, but they're adding a pretty huge virtual element to this year's South by Southwest.
Oh, really? I haven't not seen that. I
Yeah.
should probably look
It,
into
it
it.
was it was kind of a misleading headlines because it's like South by Southwest goes virtual for 2021, and people are like, it's canceled already. And it's like, no, it's
Uh,
not canceled, but they're adding a huge virtual
Virtual
element.
element. Yeah, I got you.
So
So, but so at the time we met, you were actually living in the Keys, and then shortly after that, you ended up moving back to West Virginia, or
yeah, my parents are divorced, so I grew up half my life in the Florida Keys and half my life in West Virginia. And about three years ago, 2017, summer of 2017, we moved back here to West Virginia. Um, I have three kids.
yeah.
Almirad is amazing. I love it, but it's expensive to raise a family down there. So it was a little bit easier
Oh yeah.
I have three young kids, so it's a little more affordable here in rural West Virginia.
Yeah, I completely understand. But while you've been up there, you've taken a lot of your event promoting abilities and you've started some different things up in West Virginia. You started I know you started another marathon.
I half
Correct.
marathon the Canaan Valley half marathon, which because of COVID has kind of evolved into the Canaan Valley Running Company.
Hmm.
So yeah, I do running races.
Okay, awesome. And then this year you launched the couch.
So I have Couch Tour Challenge. I have a
Okay.
virtual running event right now that I'm basically donating half of all the proceeds, half of all the profits, not proceeds, because there are expenses to actually put it on. But
Mhm.
it's called the Couch Tour Challenge, and it's a virtual running event where people commit to running 5K, 10K. I do have like a 50-mile challenge and a 100-mile challenge, and you can run those distances over any time, and it helps raise I'm giving grants directly to musicians. I was going to give the money to a music charity, but then I was kind of like, I don't want to give the money to somebody else and then have them give it. It's easier to just, so if there are musicians out there listening, not that we've raised a ton of money, but if you're really in need, you know how to get in touch with Tom. You can find me through there. I do have some small grants available to musicians that are in need, and that was kind of the point of this event, was encouraged, because with COVID we need to be healthy.
Mhm.
That it's one way you can guarantee to not get as sick, or nothing's a guarantee with it, but
Mm.
I want to encourage fitness and give back to musicians. And it's weird, in the running world the virtual races are like huge, but there wasn't one for musicians. So I kind of came up with the Couch Tour Challenge because all the live feeds are couch tours right now. And
Mhm.
so I'm encouraging people to run. You can also ride your bike or walk, but to exercise, you get a cool t-shirt, like a medal and some stickers, and then a portion of the proceeds goes directly to musicians. So it's pretty cool.
That's
And
awesome.
I've been able to help a few people that really needed it. So I know and being an event producer, I can't produce events. So
Yeah.
I have to I mean, that's how I made my living, a very scaled back Begrass. And, I've had events canceled and postponed. It doesn't really, it's tough for all of us,
Yeah.
and I know the musicians out there that, um, everybody's struggling, and
Mm.
this was a way for me to try to do something to help my little business, encourage people to get fit, but to also help musicians, because it's something I'm passionate about.
Now, are you still The couch tour challenge, it's all donation based, correct?
Oh, you can sign up and register, yeah, online at I can send you the link to
Okay.
put out there. But if you Google Couch Tour Challenge running, it comes right up. Yeah, I mean, it starts at $35. Like I say, you get a nice next level blended T-shirt. That includes shipping. You also get a finisher medal, and that includes shipping, a donation to the musicians, and it's a pretty neat interface where you kind of log your miles as you go, and we have a Facebook group where everybody kind of pushes each other and cheers us on to exercise more. So I mean, it's kind of fun. I like it, you
Nice.
know. I guess for me as an event producer, I love music, but it got really. You've been to some of the bay grasses with the bad weather. It gets stressful with
Mhm.
running events. If it's raining and horrible weather, we still run. So as an event producer, it's a little, I want to say, less risk.
Yeah,
It's like,
absolutely.
all right, well, it's pouring down the rain. Like, I don't have to worry about giant PAs or like
Yeah.
sound systems or like, it's like, okay, let's go. And so that's kind of how I ended up there.
Yeah. Because like I don't remember if it was the first festival that we went to or the second one, but just trying to get your attention and be like, "Hey, we're gonna be over here," was like a mission in and of itself. Like,
Oh,
just to kind of let you know where we were at and what we were doing and what is just, and now obviously as we've kind of been through the festival process and done it enough, you've already kind of got a feeling for what we're doing and where we're gonna be. Like, just look
yeah.
behind you. Probably we're probably behind you somewhere, but
And I'm looking forward to the 10th annual. We're going to I want to get some cool videos,
yeah,
And
yeah.
I know you do too. You're
Oh yeah.
probably like, man, I've been practicing for 2 years for this, or not that
Yeah.
you've only been for 2 years,
Well,
but
actually, so for the 2019 festival, when everything was like really mixed up, like the first two nights you ended up having to change, or the second night you ended up having to change the location at the last minute. Um, we broke out. We set up a jam session rig, so it was basically four pencil condensers
yep.
and just set it right in the middle of like a jam circle. I am currently in the process of finishing up a more advanced version of that, to where now, since like GoPro has those 360 cameras,
Yep.
I
Oh,
found out a way to mount a 360 camera right above the mics. So we just plop everything in the middle and we could probably literally just walk away and come back with
and
hours of
those new
footage.
GoPro Maxes, you can actually live stream from
Yeah, you can.
them.
Um, and so that's definitely something we're looking at, and
Yeah.
so for year 10 it's going to be amazing, so
Yeah.
we're really excited about that. um so what's going on with your music? We rarely get to talk about your
I
music.
I've been struggling with it because of having 3 kids and COVID and stuff. I pick up my guitar. I don't play enough. And
Yeah,
that I'm glad I'm on here because it reminds me I simply do not play enough music.
yeah,
And it's tough and it gets to me.
yeah, because
I definitely have some songs. Like I was kind of messing around trying to write some songs. I need to get back into a routine of waking up and practicing and writing and yeah. But
yeah,
I watched the videos that I shot with you guys, but and I that was in the middle of Begrass, where I was like
yeah,
chaos, and I was just like, man, like I need to do this more. Like
yeah,
it feels good,
yeah.
and
Because
yeah,
I know we ask you every year if you've got any new songs, and it's like, nope, it's still the same songs that I've. Yeah,
yeah. So when when I recorded those first few songs with you guys, and I was really into music, I had just had my first child.
hmm,
And then since then, I had 3 boys under 5 years, which is quite the undertaking.
yeah,
I love them to death. I would advise anybody listening that might want to have kids, don't have 3 children in 5 years, especially when they're all boys.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I need to be more musical.
I got you.
There's no other way around it. And I need to write. I do have like, I have a bunch of half written or quarter written songs like that. And like, I'm going to do this and like a bunch of ideas. I just haven't done it.
I got you. It's all takes time, and those songs will be ready and ready to play when
Yeah.
you're ready to do them. So how much time? Obviously, COVID, you have really probably haven't been doing that much traveling, but uh, during normal circumstances, how much time are you usually spending between West Virginia and the Keys?
Um, in the summers, I'm here in West Virginia, like June, July, and August. I'm here pretty much most of the time, but usually September through April, I'm in the Keys about a month a week, or about a week a month, not a
Oh,
month a week,
I was
a
like,
week a
wow.
month. Well, time
Yeah,
split. It's COVID, man. Everything's weeks or months, and months or weeks, and
yeah,
days or years.
yep.
But yeah, no, I'm down there about 1 week every month.
Okay. Got because you still have like family ties stuff
I
down.
do. I have cousins and aunts and uncles, and that's where I went to high school. So, and yeah, I gotta. It's a lot to do.
Yeah, yeah. Because I
So,
remember one week last year or 2 years ago, my mom was like, "Yeah, we just ran into Robbie the other day," and I was like, "It's like November. What's it's
yeah.
not like near anything." He's like, "Yeah, he's just in town." I'm like, "Cool."
Well, it's a lot to play in Begrass.
Yeah,
I'm actually, if anything, with all the other stress, having the event smaller is kind of like, whew,
yeah,
there's a lot that goes into a festival,
yeah,
like it's a lot.
yeah. So do you still love it as much as you did the first year you did it?
Do I what?
Do you still love putting on festivals as much as you did when you first started?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I mean, I definitely get anxieties over different things. It can be super stressful, but it is super rewarding.
Yeah.
It is very rewarding. And, picking the bands and like curating the festival and the vibe and like the flow of the people and the energy, like how you set it up,
Yeah.
where I put a lot of thought into those things,
Yeah.
and I think it's fun when it all comes together,
Yeah.
and you see everybody smiling and being happy and dancing. Like, it's
Yep.
pretty cool.
Yep.
And it's really weird because you work, I mean, you go to these, so you plan, so you're like me, but it's like you work all year long for like a day or
Yep.
2 days. So it's like, it's not like the festival just happens over 2 days. It's like you've spent the other 362 days, or
Yep.
of the year, planning every detail of this, and like you have this vision in your head. And I do love it when it all comes together. um it can be super, super stressful when
Hmm.
it doesn't come together, and that's happened before, but
Oh yeah.
it's definitely amazing. And like I said, finding all the bands and meeting the bands, I've got to meet some cool people,
Yeah.
yourself included, from all over the country. And I don't think we've had any international acts at Begrass, really, but I mean, and I've got to meet some of my heroes. Like,
Yeah.
it's fun when you book somebody that like is a hero.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. And thanks to you, like we got introduced to bluegrass because before we went to our first festival in 2016, I knew what bluegrass was, but I'd never really listened to any of it. And then we went to the festival, and it was just like we started kind of not pushing ourselves, but like working into the community and started talking to some people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're looking for like new musicians? Like, well, these are like the old standards. This is probably like your
Yeah.
foundation. So this is who you need to listen to." And then just kind of go from there. And it's like just the warm, welcoming community that is the bluegrass community is really, really
Yeah.
amazing, you know?
And
Eh,
it's funny because I just thought of another, Josh Daniels,
mhm.
his live streaming's blowing up.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, he's topping the charts for like weekly live streams.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's insane. Like, I didn't realize, but his quarantine sessions, he's like, I'm so busy, man. Like, talk to my agent. I'm like, okay. And then I click on, it's like, you have 500 people watching your live stream, man, and 350 shares, and it
Yeah.
just went live like 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He's like,
But
yeah, I've definitely been watching and definitely been paying attention. And it's like whatever he's doing is working. It's
yeah,
like, yeah, and just
but
seeing,
I was just thinking that because you're talking about meeting different people, that have made it. But I mean, his live streaming has blown up. I
yeah,
was like, I didn't notice, but yeah, it's so many cool people, and it's such a welcoming community. And
yeah,
I cannot wait for COVID to be over enough to get back to have that full 3-day kind of full bore Begrass.
yeah. And one thing I found, like, this is going to be a weird statement to make, but thank you to COVID. Thanks to COVID, we've had to readjust how we do things. And so we started doing the podcast virtually. We've started doing the podcast
Yeah.
like this on Zoom. And so it kind of forced or allowed us the opportunity to start interviewing international artists that we would have never gotten to interview, because before this it was like, oh well, all of our interviews got to be in person because the vibe of in-person interviews is completely different, and that's what I'm going for. And so it was one of those deals where it's like, okay, so do we not release content for the next
No, you've
year
crushed
and a
it,
half or
man.
however long? Yeah. And but the point of that story is, I've come to find out that Australia actually has a pretty growing bluegrass scene. Like, yeah, like there's some really good bands, and I think they were talking about that there's a festival that happens out there at some point for bluegrass.
Oh yeah, there's a few, man. They have some ripping bluegrass bands from Australia. There's a band from here in West Virginia, the Davison Brothers, but I'm pretty sure there's a bluegrass band from Australia called the Davison Brothers, and I saw them at IBMA's probably about 5 years ago, and they're
Yeah,
ripping. There's a lot of great music. I'm glad. I don't always tune in, but I'm glad you've done the live interviews. I think it's been great, man, and watching you guys grow. And I have noticed that you've had a lot of Australian artists on, and I was
yeah,
like, that's super cool.
yeah,
But you just it's like playing an instrument. You just got to keep putting in the work.
yep,
And now
absolutely.
when live shows come back, I don't think I'm not telling you how to run your business, but it's like you have this new thing that's going so well. So you're just going to add a new element,
Yeah,
at that
yeah,
point, you're adding more to the mix,
yeah. And like I've told a lot of people that when things open back up, this is still how we're going to do things. Like this is how we're going to do 90% of the podcast. But if I get an opportunity, like being here in Central Texas, let's say one day there's an artist that happens to be in town that we want to interview, I'm gonna go do it in person. Like I still want to do the
Yeah.
in-person interviews, but for the time being, like if there's people that are available, like I'm down to podcast whenever. Now I realize that we're probably not going to be able to do it every single day like we've been doing, but that's fine. I'm going to strike while the iron's hot, and if everybody's available, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So, but but first off, I don't want to keep you too much longer because I know you got, like you mentioned, you got three
Yeah.
kids that are probably,
They're my wife's
just,
problem right now.
oh, they're your wife. Gotcha. Oh,
Which
so
is my problem ultimately.
yeah.
Um,
Hey, I've got your attention, so that's all that matters,
yeah.
right? Um, so what's kind of, are you working on anything else secret wise, or do you have aspirations of making another festival, or are you kind of content with?
I think I'm content with the music festival. My aspirations would be to pursue some of my own music. I would like to sometime in the next couple years kind of not produce an album, but release an album.
Mhm,
6 to 10 song originals. I think
mhm,
that would be really my 2-year goal musically. Whether and not to overthink it, to just do it. I guess I've heard a new term that I really like. It's called paralysis by analysis, like overthinking things to the point that you just don't get anything done. And yeah, so to keep doing what I'm doing, is what I'm going to do. And I like you've taken down time, and Begrass not happening this year doesn't mean I'm not thinking about what to do for the 10th year, because I've
Mhm.
made it even clear as we're talking about the 9th year, like
Yeah.
that's the 10th year reunion, like,
Yep.
or I call it not a reunion, but the 10th annual event. Like that's a
Yeah.
big deal. I know some people are probably like, it's not that big of a deal, but to me, to do something for a
Yeah.
full decade of my
Yeah.
life was dedicated to this event. I'm excited.
Well, and the fact that you're gonna hit 10 years when there was a couple of years, I'm almost positive you weren't sure that there was gonna be an event the next year.
Yeah, no, I wasn't, but I'm confident that there will be a 10th year. There might not be an 11th. No, there will be.
Yeah.
I think we've made it to a point that we can keep going.
Yeah. That's amazing. And I think that vote or speaks to the community that you have
Yeah.
down in Alamorada. Like just the fact that you've made yourself a staple in the community and just kind of seeing how everybody rallies around it. And then you draw crowds from like,
All over.
yeah, you draw like not even just all over Florida. Like there's people like we come from New Mexico, Texas. Like, I mean, I was living in Florida for a little bit, but originally there we were coming from New Mexico. I'm sure you've had fans come from even further.
We've had people from all over the United States, even people from Europe. Like I said, it's easy to be like, oh, you got a bluegrass festival. People are like, I love bluegrass festivals, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, it's in the Florida Keys in January. They're like, I'm coming.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's the Keys in January. It's not a hard
Yeah.
sell. Like,
So
especially
that
if
was
you're
kind of the lure of it.
nice. Awesome. Awesome. But like I said, I don't want to keep you too much longer. Where can everybody find more information about Begrass, about everything you got going on, all that fun stuff?
Like anything, there's a bunch of different websites.
Mm.
Begrassbluegrass.com is the website for the Begrass Festival. We are in the process of rebuilding that website right now. For my music, even though it's not super up to date, RobbieMcClung.com. And for like all my running stuff, I have the Almirada Half Marathon, and then I also have the Canaan Valley Running Company, which is my company here in West Virginia. But so there's a lot of different websites. If you make it to one of those websites, you'll find it. The Couch Tour Challenge, like I said, I would love to have some more people get involved. If you're a musician that likes to exercise and stuff, reach out to me. Maybe we can work together and you can help promote and get some money in return. Or if you're just a musician that's hurting, like I said, I don't have tons of money, but I do have some small grants. So please reach out, and hopefully I do have some money to help people.
Yeah.
Even though it's not much, I know a little bit can go a long way these days.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you have a tentative date when you're going to start releasing the lineup for Begrass or?
Uh, Probably mid-November.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
about November 15th.
Okay. Awesome. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us. It's always great to sit down and chat. I know we try and
This is the
chat
longest we've ever chatted. I'm usually like, I gotta go. I'll be right back.
or the kids are in the background or
Yeah.
yeah, nope. That or it was the time that I was actually moving out to Texas and you called me while I was driving through
Yeah.
Louisiana. And that was an interesting conversation because it's like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm moving. I'm driving halfway across the country right now. So, but it's always great to sit down and chat with you.
Yeah, man.
And I look forward to doing many more years of business and just going to different festivals and covering anything you got going on, working together, helping promote, all that fun stuff. So I really look forward to it. And I'm glad that we met 5 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yeah, about,
Yeah.
I guess 4.5 years. Whew.
Yeah. It's been a long time. And I found out that the other day because my mom was like, "Oh yeah, we were at Begrass in 2015," and then she shows me the shirt that she bought and it says Bay Jam on it. I'm like, "No, you're at Bay Jam, but same difference,
Yeah, they're all
Eh,
the bays.
yeah,
Uh,
but
cool.
so really appreciate it. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys later."
Yeah, thank you, Tom.